Here's the invisible layoff. Here's why managers, directors, and VPs are the next to fall to AI, and what you must do right now to survive it. They told you the robots were coming for the factory workers. Well, I think they lied because they didn't understand how AI works. For a decade, economists, TED speakers, and breathless op-ed writers warned us that automation would obliterate truck drivers, warehouse pickers, and cashiers. The blue-collar world, we were told, was the casualty of the machine age. The white-collar professional, the manager with the MBA, the director with the team, the VP with the corner office, would be safe. That was wrong. Catastrophically, expensively wrong. The machine didn't stop at the factory floor. It went upstairs. It put on a suit. And right now, in 2025 and 2026, it is sitting in the boardroom, reviewing your role, quietly, efficiently, without emotion, asking one devastating question. Does this person create value, or do they manage the flow of information that AI can now handle in milliseconds? If you are a manager, director, or VP, this article is not written to comfort you. It is written to wake you up with facts, with data, with urgency, because the window to act is open right now, and it is closing faster than you think. The numbers don't lie, my friend, and right now they're screaming, so get ready. Let's begin where all serious conversations should, with evidence, not speculation, not fear-mongering, just pure evidence. In January 2026 alone, US corporate layoffs surged by 205% compared to December 2025, according to data tracked by Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. That is not a blip, that is a signal, and it is being sent by companies that are not struggling. Many are posting record profits while simultaneously eliminating entire management tiers. Here is what has happened in the corporate world since early 2025. Amazon eliminated approximately 30,000 corporate positions. That represents nearly 10% of its entire white-collar workforce. Morgan Stanley cut roughly 2,500 employees, which is approximately 3% of staff, despite strong revenues. Fintech firm Block terminated around 4,000 employees, explicitly citing AI productivity gains. More than 5,296 companies have announced mass layoffs since early 2025. The tech sector alone shed over 260,000 jobs in 2024 per layoffs. Imagine the impact this may have had on these employees' mindset and family economics. Notice what is different about this wave. These are not companies in financial distress. Amazon is one of the most profitable enterprises in human history. Morgan Stanley had strong revenues when it made those cuts. Block's leadership stated plainly that AI-enabled teams could produce the same or greater output with a fraction of the headcount. This is not a recession. This is a reorganization, and the org chart is being redrawn with fewer boxes in the middle. McKinsey Global Institute research published in recent years estimated that between 400 million and 800 million workers globally could be displaced by automation by 2030. But critically, and this is the part that rarely makes the headline, the research also identified that the highest risk of displacement is not in the lowest paid, most repetitive jobs. It is in the middle, the coordinator, the analyst, the layer of management that exists primarily to organize, report, and relay information. These are first-line managers, directors, and VP levels. So, why your job title is a target? Let us be specific, because vague warnings are useless. What exactly does a middle manager do? Strip away the politics and the org chart and the performance reviews, and most managerial work falls into a handful of categories: gathering information from teams and synthesizing it into reports, communicating decisions and directives downward, scheduling, coordinating, and facilitating meetings, monitoring performance metrics and flagging deviations, reviewing and approving work product before it moves forward, managing interpersonal conflict and team dynamics. Now ask yourself, with brutal honesty, how many of those tasks require a human being in 2025? Because AI tools can already do the first 5 of those things faster, more consistently, and more precisely than any human manager. Tools like Microsoft Copilot, Salesforce Einstein, Workday AI, and dozens of purpose-built platforms are right now in live corporate environments generating the reports your managers write, summarizing the meetings your directors attend, and flagging the performance deviations your VPs review. A 2023 study from MIT and Princeton found that large language models can already perform tasks at above human average levels that represent roughly 80% of what writers, programmers, and data analysts do. For management-adjacent roles, a 2023 World Economic Forum report found that administrative and coordination tasks have automation potential exceeding 60%. Here is the truth: the coordination economy is ending soon, and here is why. There is a concept in organizational theory called the span of control, which refers to the number of people one manager can effectively oversee. For most of the 20th century, that number hovered between 5 and 9 direct reports. Anything beyond that, and the coordination costs became too high for a human to handle. AI eliminates that ceiling. When AI handles scheduling, reporting, progress tracking, and performance monitoring, a single senior leader can effectively oversee not 9 people but 90 or 900. The technology does not get tired. It does not have bad days. It does not need a one-on-one to understand context. It reads every Slack message, every email, every document, and builds a comprehensive real-time picture of team performance without a single status update meeting. This is not theoretical. Klarna, the Swedish fintech company, made headlines when it reported that its AI assistant handles work equivalent to 700 full-time customer service employees. Just imagine that for a second. Their total headcount dropped from roughly 5,000 to approximately 3,800 between 22 and 24. The CEO was not shy about the reason. The companies that survive the next 5 years will not be the ones with the most managers. They will be the ones with the most leverage, and AI is the greatest lever ever built. Here are the questions every manager is asking discreetly today, and I will be answering them as honestly as possible. Question 1. Is this really happening to senior people? I thought AI only replaced entry-level work. Answer. That is the most dangerous misconception in the corporate world right now. Entry-level workers have already been partially automated, but their roles remain because they execute physical tasks or require face-to-face human interaction. Middle management, by contrast, is almost entirely role in informational work, reading, synthesizing, communicating, and making decisions based on data. That is precisely what large language models do best. The entry-level analyst is safer than the director, who manages 3 analysts and writes the quarterly summary report. Question 2. But companies still need leadership. Won't they keep senior people? Answer. They will keep some. The word senior will no longer mean has been here longer or manages more people. It will mean a manager who creates disproportionate strategic value that AI cannot replicate. And AI cannot replicate is key here. The organizations of 2028 and 2030 will be flatter, faster, and smaller at the top, and that's a fact. The question is not whether leadership survives, it is which leaders survive and why they should survive and for how long, before advanced AI, robotics, and automation make them irrelevant. Question 3. My company just promoted me. Surely that means I'm secure. Answer. A promotion in 2024 or 2025 tells you that you are valuable under the old organizational model, but unfortunately it tells you nothing about your security under the emerging one. Companies are reorganizing faster than their promotion cycles. Several of the Amazon employees laid off in the recent wave had been promoted within 12 to 18 months of their termination. Question 4. What is the actual timeline? When does this hit hardest? Answer. The 2 to 5 year window, which is between 2025 to 2030, is when most economists and organizational researchers expect the restructuring to accelerate meaningfully. AI adoption curves typically follow an S-curve, slow at the edges, explosive in the middle. We are currently entering the steep part of that curve. The companies that are laying off management tier employees now are ahead of the curve. The rest will follow within 24 to 36 months as competitive pressure forces their hand. The industries where the clock is ticking loudest. Not every sector faces equal exposure. I will analyze 6 most relevant ones today. Here is an honest breakdown of where management tier disruption is hitting hardest and why that is. 1. Financial services and banking. This industry was arguably the first to deploy AI at scale for knowledge work. risk modeling, compliance monitoring, loan underwriting, financial forecasting, and portfolio analysis are all now heavily AI augmented, or in many firms, AI led. The result? Well, major banks, including Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Citigroup, have each implemented AI tools that reduce the analyst and associate workload by an estimated 20 to 40% in affected divisions. At Goldman Sachs, a notable internal report circulated in 2023 suggested that AI could automate tasks that represent up to 44% of the work of legal and financial professionals. The firm has since invested billions in AI infrastructure, middle management in financial services. The vice presidents and directors who primarily oversee analyst output are acutely exposed to technology and software. The irony is almost poetic. The industry that built AI is now being restructured by it. Software engineers are seeing AI code generation tools like GitHub Copilot reduce their output time by 35 to 55%, according to a 2023 GitHub study of 95 professional developers. Engineering managers who exist primarily to coordinate, ticket, and review code output face direct displacement as AI takes over those coordination functions. The tech manager role, particularly in companies where the manager does not personally write or architect code, is at severe risk. Several Silicon Valley companies, including smaller startups and mid-sized scale-ups, have already moved to flatter engineering structures with fewer layers between senior engineers and C-suite leadership. 3. Marketing and advertising. The marketing manager, whose primary job involves briefing agencies, reviewing creative, approving copy, and analyzing campaign dashboards, is living on borrowed time. Generative AI now writes copy, it designs creative concepts, it A/B tests in real time, it analyzes performance and recommends budget reallocation without a single PowerPoint presentation. A 2023 study by the Interactive Advertising Bureau found that 68% of marketing executives expected AI to replace a significant portion of their team's routine work within 3 years. The roles at risk are not the senior brand strategists or the creative directors with genuine creative judgment. They are the coordination and approval layers between strategy and execution. 4. Healthcare administration. Clinical roles are competitively protected, at least for now. But healthcare administration, which accounts for nearly 35% of healthcare spending in the United States, according to JAMA Research, is a massive target. Healthcare managers, billing directors, compliance officers, and operations VPs oversee processes that are fundamentally informational. AI is being deployed aggressively in insurance pre-authorization, claims processing, scheduling optimization, and regulatory compliance, all traditionally manager-heavy functions. 5. Consulting and professional services management consulting. That's the industry that has advised companies on efficiency for a century, is being restructured by the very forces it helped unleash. Junior consultants traditionally built their careers on research synthesis, slide creation, and data analysis. The problem is that AI does all three faster and cheaper. Consulting firms are quietly reducing associate headcount while maintaining relationships with senior partners. The director and principal layers, which exist to supervise junior work and manage client communication, are being compressed. 6. Retail and consumer goods category managers, regional directors, and supply chain VPs in retail are watching AI systems manage inventory, optimize pricing, and predict demand with a precision no human team can match. Companies like Walmart and Target have made significant AI investments in supply chain intelligence that reduce the need for the managerial layer that previously interpreted and acted on that data. The organizational restructuring decisions being made right now are based on AI in 2027 and 2028, not 2025. Your company's IT team being slow to adopt does not protect you. It just means your company will restructure later and more desperately. Question 3. What if I get very good at using AI tools? Does that protect me? Answer. Yes. Well, just partially. AI fluency is a genuine differentiator and will buy you time and create new opportunities. But tool fluency alone is not enough. The question is not whether you can use AI. The question is whether, once you use AI to handle your routine work, the remaining uniquely human work you do is valuable enough to justify your compensation. If the answer is yes, you survive. If the answer is I just use AI to do what I used to do manually, the company will eventually ask why they need you to supervise the AI at all. To stay ahead, I will share with you a survival blueprint that I created for you. Here is what you must do right now to stay ahead of 95% of unprepared folks out there. This is not the part where I offer you vague advice about adapting to change and embracing a growth mindset. This is specific, tactical, urgent. First, audit your own role with brutal honesty. Take 1 week and track every hour of your working time. Categorize each task into one of two buckets: tasks an AI system could perform with available technology today, tasks that require irreducibly human judgment, relationship, or creativity. If more than 50% of your time falls into the first bucket, you are exposed. That does not mean you are finished, at least not yet, but it means you need to start moving immediately. Most managers who do this exercise honestly are disturbed by what they find. Second, become genuinely fluent in AI, not just conversational. There is a difference between someone who uses ChatGPT occasionally and someone who can design AI workflows, evaluate AI outputs critically, prompt engineer for specific business outcomes, and identify where AI creates risk rather than value. The second person is currently in extremely short supply. The first person is everyone. Certifications from Google, Microsoft, and Coursera in AI fundamentals are now available and credible. More importantly, identify AI applications specific to your industry and become the person in your organization who understands them best. That is a defensible, valuable position. 3. Shift from being a manager of people to a creator of strategy. The most protected role in every organization of the future is the person who makes high-stakes decisions that have asymmetric consequences, decisions where being right creates enormous value and being wrong is very costly. AI is not trusted with those decisions, and it should not be. Regulatory, ethical, reputational, and relationship-critical decisions will remain human domains for the foreseeable future. Position yourself explicitly as the person in your organization who makes those calls. Build a track record of strategic decisions, not operational management. Document your wins. Quantify the value you have created in ways that cannot be attributed to team size or reporting structure. 4. Build external visibility and relationship. The manager who exists only within their company's org chart is maximally vulnerable. If your role disappears, your value disappears with it, because no one outside your organization knows who you are or what you have done. Write, speak, publish, build a LinkedIn presence that reflects genuine expertise, not just your title. Develop relationships in your industry that exist independently of your employer. The professionals who survive structural layoffs are typically those who are already visible enough that recruiters, partners, and clients knew their names before their company restructured. 5th, own outcomes, not headcount. The metric of managerial success in the old model was team size. How many people report to you? How large is your budget? In the emergent model, those metrics are liabilities. They make you expensive. The new metric is value created per dollar of cost, including your salary. Start reframing every conversation about your role in terms of outcomes: revenue influenced, costs reduced, risks mitigated, strategic decisions enabled. If you cannot articulate the specific business impact of your work independent of your team's output, you are not yet thinking in the right framework. 6. Develop cross-functional depth. The single function specialist manager, the person who only knows their specific domain, is the most exposed. Organizations are collapsing functional silos, and they need leaders who can operate across product, data, finance, and operations without needing extensive management support beneath them. Take on cross-functional projects. Volunteer to lead initiatives outside your core domain. Build literacy in finance if you are in operations, in technology if you are in marketing, in customer success if you are in product. The broader your genuine competence, the harder it is to replace you with a narrower, cheaper alternative. 7th, consider the entrepreneur path. Very, very seriously. AI has dramatically reduced the cost and friction of starting a business. The same tools that threaten your management role can be harnessed by a solo operator to produce output that previously required a team of 10. Freelance consulting, boutique advisory firms, and AI-augmented small businesses are all viable paths for experienced professionals who choose to lead this transition rather than wait it out. This is not for everyone, but for the manager with deep domain expertise, willing to make the leap. AI has never made entrepreneurship more accessible. Here are the final questions that managers are afraid to ask. Question 1. Is this video overstating the risk? A lot of people said AI would destroy jobs before, and it didn't. Answer: that is a fair point. The history of automation is full of alarms that proved in the long run to overestimate displacement and underestimate adaptation. New jobs were created, workers retrained, economies absorbed the change. It is possible, even likely, that the same will happen here in the long run. But the long run is a cold comfort if you are a 48-year-old VP whose role is being restructured in the next 36 months. The question is not whether the economy adapts, it is whether you adapt before your specific role is eliminated. History suggests economies survive disruption. It is less clear that every individual caught in the wave does. Question 2. Should I share these risks with my team? Or is that leadership malpractice? Answer: a leader who pretends structural risk does not exist is not protecting their team, they are abandoning them. The most valuable thing a manager can do right now is help their team members understand the landscape and invest in their own positioning. That is not fear-mongering. It is the most important conversation a leader can have in 2025. The teams whose managers had those conversations early will be better positioned. The teams whose managers stayed quiet will feel betrayed when the restructuring arrives. Question 3. What does success look like for a leader in 2030? Answer: a leader in 2030 manages AI systems, not people. They are responsible for the quality of the decisions those systems enable, the ethical frameworks that govern their use, and the human relationships, which are client, stakeholder, and partner, that no AI can maintain. They are deeply cross-functional, externally visible, and ruthlessly outcome-oriented. They almost certainly manage a smaller team than their 2026 equivalents, but they are significantly more valuable per capita, and they know it. Here is the bottom line. This is not the end. It is a fork in the road that you need to be prepared for. Here is the truth that exists beneath all the data and all the statistics and all the warnings. This moment right now is one of the most consequential professional moments of your career, not because the danger is unprecedented, but because the opportunity embedded within the danger is also unprecedented. The organizations of 2030 will not be smaller versions of the organizations of 2015. They will be fundamentally different in structure, in culture, and in what they value. The leaders who will thrive in them are not yet defined by their current title or their current team size. They are defined by the choices they make in the next 12 to 24 months. The professional who waits, who tells themselves the risk is overstated, who protects their current role rather than building their next one, who mistakes a promotion for security, will find themselves on the wrong side of the inflection point. The professional who acts, who audits their role honestly, builds AI fluency with genuine depth, positions around outcomes rather than process, and makes themselves visible enough that the market knows their name, will find that this moment created more opportunity than any they have seen in their career. The reality is, the invisible layoff is coming. The only question is whether it finds you waiting or whether it finds your old chair already empty because you moved on first. The choice, as it has always been, is yours, but the window is not. So my advice is get on with it now while you can.